it's fucking Tuesday. Alright, and I'm finally off work. I can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to not be at work today. It's been a bit of a slow day, so here we are with some Dyson Sphere Program queued up. Before we do that though, we do have a little bit of Stream Raiders that we want to take a look at. And what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's dive right in, shall we? Stream Raiders. Alright, so where did we leave off? Yeah, we didn't get that far in because it took us 4 attempts to beat the first map. Hopefully that's not gonna happen again today, but knowing my luck, it might be. Streams might be a little bit short today because time schedules and stuff like that are a little bit funky during the weekdays for me. But probably yes. And hello there, hi boy, how are you doing? I did see you in there on the users and chat thing. Were you there for the intro? And if so, let me know. Oh, you just joined. So did you miss the intro thingy? The countdown? Yep. Alright. Well, that's interesting. So far, there's no one that's commented on it, but it's there. There's nothing too, like, particularly special, you know. But I did try and do a new thing there. I also did a few adjustments to my end card and all that stuff, or end screen. So now I can actually show people who've rated me. And you're already in here with your war beast. All right, with a sock. Yeah. Just quickly want to show. I also got this on my talking thing. Oh, I need to fix that. How is that so whack? Oh, I think I know why. Let's just put the chat over here on the left for the time being when we're on this one. But yeah, I've got that thing on the right now, which shows up to like 10 people in the past. I do want to have a little bit of a change to it too, because like Banana Move is like just phasing out there with their, I think it was like a $5 contribution a while back. But I think I want to split it up so that I have one list for people that raid and stuff, and then another one for donos, or tips as you're supposed to call them legally speaking. Anyways, let's get Dyson Sphere Program booted up. So how's your day been, boy? Because you're in school, right? You learning something interesting? Or you're still in school? At home right now, okay. Interesting. Over here, school ends like at, what is it? Well, I guess it depends on what kind of like level you're at. I suppose in university it's a bit like here and there because you get to choose yourself, but don't seem to recall high school at least being that early off, if that makes any sense. Unless it was outside the norm, of course. School ended at 1 today. Oh, that was early. 5 lessons. Huh. Alright. Yeah, at uni we would like... Oh fuck, I forgot about this. At uni we would like be free to choose when we would meet in when doing group work, and otherwise classes started like, was it 9:15 or 8:15? I'm pretty sure it must have been like 8:15, and you would be off done with classes at the latest at 1600. But we're low on power. Holy shit, this is spiking a lot. No, that's production. This is power. There we go. Yeah, so we're barely generating half of what we need to fully provide what is requested. Remember you saying about a problem for Future Dragon, but what was it? What was it indeed? Probably the power, I would imagine. Because this entire factory setup is all done for the yellow. You know, the only thing that it requires is manually filling of titanium. Other than that, we do get the signs in, or it is made. Yeah, but that is so obvious. Yeah, wouldn't it be more fun if there's like something very important that I forgot about? Could also be just like future me problem of crafting the next things, but fun. Well, I'm sure it's gonna be fun. I am sure it's gonna be fun. Where the heck are my solar panels again? Because they're not this far down, are they? Because this is belts over there. Because the solar panels are a little bit of a weird spot. It's not all the way up here, is it? Don't think so. No, this is not solar panels. For me, probably you. Most likely not so much. Ah, there are the solar panels. I don't know. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. God damn it. Well, okay, so solar power. Well, right now we're like running off of this stuff. Yeah, we really need to get a Dyson Swarm going. That's literally the problem. That, and I've made like industrial scale stuff before we have the energy for it, I guess. Surely this is gonna go down eventually. But we can, for now at least, try and see if we can extend this solar farm. I mean, this one is also highly variable because it's like on the pole, but still not always running at full capacity. My feet are cramped though. Freaking work shoes. It's like I've got a good pair of work shoes for work, but I don't know if this particular brand like or make is the best for my kind of feet. They also might be just slightly too small, maybe. Because my toes do feel cramped in there, so. Although I can like survive a day walking in them and they give you the support on hard surfaces that you need, it's not like, I still feel tired in my feet when I get home, so shoes definitely have some way to go still before they're on point. Oh yeah, also, I don't know if that makes any sense making that statement now, but I won't be home during the weekend, so No streaming in the weekend, I'm afraid. Oh, I don't need that one, okay. So instead I'll try and see if I can't get some streaming in during the week. And since I'm a little bit more used to the time schedule and I have the power of energy drinks, should be okay. Ah, you motherfucker. That's not what I wanted to do. So I was like, where the hell did my drones go? But they went on to the other side. Let's take the easy ones first and then take the annoying one after. We're going on an adventure. Yeah, I guess. Speaking of adventure, I played Minecraft on... I don't think you were there at any point, but I started playing on another streamer's server recently for Minecraft. It's a pretty good time. So I might do some more of that during the weekdays. But most likely off stream most of the time. Then again, now that I think about it, next week is going to be the last week that I'm on this program, meaning that no more like hopefully getting up at crack of dawn for a little bit at least. Today was an interesting day though. Or rather, like interesting in the not so fun way, I guess. So, first off, I just had to continue like moving the IT room, like whatever was remaining because there was still some stuff left there, into the other new room. And that took most of the morning hours. But once that sort of like was done, then I was starting to run out of tasks. Because again, the IT guy that is actually responsible for the whole IT room situation, he is still sick or something, like he's not at work, seemingly. So I got put onto another random task job, which unfortunately didn't really go anywhere. But it was like a what are they called again? It was like a CR scan thingy-majiggy. Used to get like X-ray scans taking or whatever the heck they're called. So they had like 2 of those machines that needed to be tested to see if they still worked. And they came with a computer that should have all the software and stuff on it. But annoyingly enough, the only missing thing we did not have at hand, which was that we needed an Ethernet cable that needed to be a cross Ethernet cable, meaning that it can send data back and forth, but not be used for like hooking your computer up to the Ethernet, so that you can hook up to the separate devices. Yeah, they're barely not symmetrical. Yeah, I know. Well, some of the lanes are actually symmetrical. Or is it... Yeah, I mean, within each band, they're like symmetrical, right? To a certain degree. And some of the bands are completely tiling the whole way around. I think I get what you're saying, though. And they also rotate according to the sun's location. And in fact, I do believe whenever I've seen like footage of like a solar farm or whatever, there's always like some panels that just are out of commission or turn the complete opposite way, probably because they're under maintenance or something. But yeah. But anyway, yeah. So the scanning machine just couldn't be like evaluated because I couldn't hook it up to the computer properly. So that kind of like felt like a lot of time investment that didn't go anywhere, because I first had to like look up manuals and stuff to make sure that I understood exactly how to hook it up and such. But yeah, that was all for naught for now anyway. Unless we get another cable for tomorrow, then I know what to do at least. But yeah, I've just like pretty much run out of tasks seemingly. I guess I'm just too fast for my work. Actually, I do think that I know a reason why that is. So normally the way that they have it out there is that they get these like people like me that don't have a job, and as a good thing they don't stick around for too long, meaning that they end up getting an a proper job like before their time there is up, meaning that the people working there on a day-to-day basis, making all the plans and everything, they have this odd situation where they kind of have to organize and plan out work for people that may or may not be there on the next day. So for them it's like, you know, annoying that you know, the people don't end up returning, because then they have all this work planned out that needs to be done but no one to do it. But then there's like the other cases too, I suppose, where someone like me comes by and does a lot of tasks very quickly and they just run out of stuff to do. In a good way, I guess. Because if I end in a situation where there's like nothing left to do, I would probably fall asleep, because it's just so fucking boring out there. It's not even like any nature or anything to look at, even though it's literally out at the edge of town. I also had a weird ass experience today. So before I went all the way home, I stopped by a the grocery store to pick up some food and stuff. And while I was checking out my goods, or before it was my turn to check out my goods, there was like an older lady in front of me, and part of this is that story is that behind the counter was another lady that I've seen in the grocery store a couple times at this point, and she seems to have like some kind of handshaking problems that she's dealing with. Probably Parkinson's, who knows? Obviously I haven't asked, but you know, you can see it on her that she's like having a little bit of a hard time controlling the shakes. But anyway, so this lady in front of me is like of the older nature, gray hair and everything. And then while she's like, how was it again? Like while she was fiddling with her money to pay for the groceries that she was buying, she did like some weird stuff with her hands, and like like all of a sudden she says like the cashier, she says like, okay, do you want to like pay in cash and or card and all that stuff? And then the lady in front of me just suddenly says like, oh, I'm praying for you. And I immediately in my head like went, what? You're praying for her? And the cashier was like just as confused, seemingly saying stuff like, oh, okay. Like, what? Hey Toto, welcome to the stream. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. Are you playing Minecraft by any chance? I was just talking about a little weird experience I had at the local grocery store on my way home. And I'm like not religious myself, so it was a little bit weird standing there. Toto watching Dragon Friend. Alright. You can do both, Toto, right? It's not like a creeper's gonna ruin all your fun things. This power situation is really annoying. We are producing a lot more now though, but I think that's partially due to more solar panels being in the line of the sun.
This world has been connected.
Oh yes. One who understands nothing. No, wait. One who knows nothing can understand nothing. Submit. There's just so many good voice lines from Ansem / Xehanort / Semnis / etc. There's just something about it. And they've got such good voice actors for him too.
16 times the details.
Where do you see that, Toto? 16 times the detail. That reminds me, I still need to make the voice clip where it just works. I do have the YouTube clip on my desktop, but it's in the works. Also got some clips from a movie called Falling Down that I want to put in there. That movie is full of so many delicious sound bites. Wololo. Rogan? Maybe I should put that one in there too, just for the shits and giggles. I also need to figure out how Tumbles is doing the countdown stuff and see if I can make something with that, but integrate it into Streamlabs directly, so you can do the redeems through the loyalty store. That would be fucking kick-ass. Then you can redeem Danish speaking as well if you really want to, Toto. I probably don't want to do an accent because Danish English accent is like super hard to do intentionally. I have a friend that does it unironically, and it's kind of interesting, but even if I try and mimic it, it's like super hard. Because he basically so just to take a couple examples, what would it be? So instead of saying actually, he would say actually. Just as one example. Is it like old Dutch people speaking English? No, it's more like he pronounces the word really hard. Like oh, we got another achievement. Nice. So actually, I would like to take his belt over here and beat in some mechanical components or something to the tune of that. So it's like way less smooth and like more chunky in it. Like we call it here, Stenskolen Engels. Oh my god. Which is just mixing Dutch and English. So over here we call it Danglish. Contraction of English and Danish, so just Danglish. Sadness. I know, Andre, it's not what you wanted to see. I'm sorry. But I just don't have the energy for RimWorld. I just don't have the energy, man. He says playing a factory game. I think it's more because I'm achieving new stuff in this game, and it's like with RimWorld it's more stuff that I've already done before, like yeah. Anything is okay to do as long hair exists. I've actually considered making a headbanging redeemable at some point as well. That could be pretty fun, maybe. Just to capitalize on the fact that I actually have hair on my head. I still want to see Tumbles with an afro though, but I don't think we're ever gonna get that, unfortunately. Those images of him with an afro is just like fucking gold. And just the regret yesterday when he shared that in his Discord, when people started like, "You're laughing at my afro." He always goes the extra mile with all the facial expressions and all that. Good times. We did have an energy shortage. Haha, haha, haha. Funny. We're actually overproducing, ironically, now. I wouldn't be surprised as soon as the sun moves to the like 180 degrees, rotates around. Oh yeah, I forget, when you're on the other side of the gas giant, solar panel just doesn't work, period. That's actually, I'm pretty sure that's actually a thing that can happen too. So, but we have a couple things we can aim at. We can try and make solar sails, which just requires these photon combiners. I think that's something we might want to do. Maybe that was Future Dragon's problem. Let's take a little survey and see where we have things. Because we need the prisms, which we are making here. And they are being fit in and being used for this stuff. Okay. Very well. So not a lot. Have a new favorite in RimWorld and it's called bears. Why bears? Why bears specifically? So that and circuit boards, which means iron and copper. Okay. Mostly iron though. Well, let's try and go over there and take a look. They can do everything. So can dragons. They can do more than bears. Dragons can haul. Dragons can hunt for you. Dragons can use ranged attacks. And they produce fuel and eggs. Though I guess eggs aren't really like worth mentioning because they take like forever to gestate. Is it still called gestate when it's eggs? I don't think so. But there are other animals in vanilla RimWorld that do it. I was a big fan of mega sloths, and there's a reason why frumbos are also highly prized. Because they also work as combat animals. They can haul stuff. You can technically ride them if you have giddy up. Can bears be used in a caravan? Because dragons can. In the vanilla game, there's surprisingly few animals that can even actually work as caravan animals. To great annoyance for a lot of players. You think they can? I don't know. Sounds unlikely because I'm pretty sure Frumbos can't. Unless I'm misremembering. Not like it matters too much. Okay, so we have iron coming in here, and that's going for this factory, and these are being used here for science, and then all the way across. Okay. Question is, for the time being, if we just want to hook the already existing fabrication and make photon combiners with the excess. I'll ponder that while we take a look at Stream Raiders. Let's go with the Sark and everything. We should probably be able to steamroll all this. Because, low level and all that. And because we lost so many matches in a row. Apparel. I guess the buffs are always the main concern, aren't they? When they're that low level, even a buff doesn't really do much. So boy and Kiesme. Kiesme? You get some scrolls. And then we'll be off to Hack-a-Frog. Hack-a-Trog? Hack-a-Trog. Guess it's trog as in like troglodyte or something. So where? Maybe around here? Yeah, I saw that. He was just like speeding around, got the buff, and then almost make it back home for breakfast. Only almost, though. He did. Okay, fair enough. Some nice wall meat. They're wargs, though, right? W-O-R-G. What's wall meat? Basically the same. Alright. Let me just see. Should be some scrolls in the store. Trying to get some of the not lowest but mid-tier like units upgraded for those particularly nasty missions, since higher level is better than higher quality. They're just bigger and meaner. Okay. Oof. Okay, so the main issue with the whole circuit board situation is that I do believe we might be running out of materials if I don't start making another factory soon. But the stupid thing on this planet is that all the copper is like over here on this side. Well, there's actually an iron deposit there. But that would require like a lot of... I really need to get the logistics drones. The Joris experience. I've seen the Joris experience. I assume that's like a streamer thing. It seemed kind of weird and stupid like that. It's like hardly any copper here. What about this stuff? So this is for copper plates. And where are they going? Two different directions. But mainly just over here. Okay, so we could actually take some of those copper plates. And that's stone. I don't need to look at stone, we need iron. So we could probably try and branch off some of this iron and copper here, actually. which conveniently is just right next to each other. Okay, now the question is, so where are the circuit boards being made? There. Okay. So I'm looking at this patch of land here. Because if we clean up these belts, we could maybe make it all the way through here. Yep. Okay. We'll do that then. Because eventually that copper mine is also gonna be gone, and we can build another lane, I would say. And conveniently enough, there's already iron here. So if we use what's already here, we might be fine just doing this. Okay. I'm still looking forward to Dragon's Descent being upgraded, because they said that they wanted to do some more stuff with it. But it's like, their main coding wizard, as they put it, is preoccupied with updating other mods. And as such, there's basically a queue that they are waiting to get through before it's Dragon's Descent's turn to be updated. So until then, we're just stuck without Durgans for a little while. You vote me to add the Juris experience? Yeah, that will never happen. But nice try, Andre. Nice try. It's too silly for my tastes. I literally just told you it's too silly. Why not? Because I think it's silly. Besides, we're in the midst of doing a medieval run anyway. So we already have plenty on our plate as it is. Maybe. What do you mean, maybe? Fucking hell. Let me just think about this for a second. So if we do this, should be fine. We maybe have a lot of on our plate. Oh. Well, it's gonna take a while before we get through this colony, because with my current streaming habits and time available and all that stuff, you know, that's more like what I also meant with it. Is this... It would work if there wouldn't be freaking in the way. Damn it. Could of course do something here that would work, but don't know if it's even worth it. So we do this instead. Thank you very much, game. Ah, god damn it, wrong way. Gonna build a bear army of Joris bears and streamers colony. Okay. Sounds like a good time. Okay, this is a little bit silly, but we're gonna do it this way anyway. There we go. Actually, we also need to upgrade the belts here, I think. Question is, does that do enough? Or is there like some sneaky belts that haven't been upgraded? Regardless, we do have at least some electronics now. Circuit boards. So now we just need to combine that with the prisms and we get photon combiners. Alright. The prism should be around here somewhere nearby. Here, right? Yep. Here, probably. Aren't dragons OP? I mean, I won't be... I have plans on how to reintroduce them into this new playthrough. I'm also a little bit curious. One of the things that they said in there was that they want to do a dragon-based Ideal Legion, which might mean a new colony for the dragon stuff, depending on how interesting it is. But that would be like after the medieval one, but very similar probably. So I could just build off of what we already have. Since we already have our Ideal Legion established, it wouldn't really make a difference right now. Pretty sure it was the assembler, right? Yes. I'm pretty sure you need it to be a fluid Ideal Legion, and our Ideal Legion is not, so I don't know. I haven't really gotten to play it that much yet, so it's honestly a bit of an unknown to me. 2 of those and 1 of those, okay. Two prisms. Might be overproducing on these circuit boards, but we'll see. You can probably never have enough in the long run. Tends to be the case, at least. So if we leave just one factory's worth of space down here. You're a fake and a frog? What? What do you mean? And why frog? Don't you mean fraud? With a D? Regardless, what the hell are you even talking about? Frog. Okay. So the other question still remains, what the hell are you talking about? I don't know. Okay. It seems like a bit of a random accusation. Nonsense. Well, I guess. Oh, I didn't even notice we actually have two outputs here. So we don't even have to split the whole thing. We'll still do it though, because we might as well. That does actually work. Okay. So Andre, do you play Valheim? Uh-oh, core energy is about to deplete. Can't actually remember if I've even asked you this before now that I think about it. No. Alright. Surely you've heard about it, right? Or even seen it. Or maybe you don't think it's your kind of game? You've watched streams. Alright. They did come out with an update very recently, the Hearth and Home update. Was contemplating on starting a new save and all that, but I decided I would wait until I had someone to play with. That actually just goes out to everyone out in chat, actually. Actually. Because it's a very fun game if you have people to play with, but can be rather grindy if you're like playing by your own. And it does work fairly okay as a team co-op kind of like game. And especially some of the new updated stuff makes it a little bit more convenient. That's also how I played it the first time around, was with a group of people. So we had like a little Viking settlement and sort of reached out and expanded from there. Built small outposts. Doesn't seem to fit your style. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, it's like a weird, there's like a weird thing about that. Because I asked a friend of mine too, who usually doesn't shy away too much from survival games, if he would be interested in giving Valheim a go or something, because I knew he didn't have the game, but you know, what you don't have, you can always buy if you're interested. But he also surprisingly said, nope, not really interested, he said. All right. But he's also got like a bit of weird preferences to certain things, or in like certain ways rather. So I am talking about my friend who is also hosting the Starbound stuff, and he also plays Minecraft. Oh shit, that's why it wasn't working probably. Damn it. God damn it. But I've played Minecraft with him before, and he basically how do I reset this? His style of playing Minecraft is more like he doesn't like to play Minecraft with mods. Ironically, or weirdly enough though, he can't play Starbound without mods. And I think I understand his reasoning at this point, but it's still like a little bit of a weird one. The general gist is, I believe, that with Minecraft, if you start adding mods to the game, it starts becoming overcomplicated for, well, very little gain. But also, I think his explanation was that he liked Minecraft in the sense of trying to accomplish you know, what you can with what's already there in the game, rather than requiring mods to do the same thing. Yeah. You'll be playing New World. Okay. I've seen a lot of people jumping on that MMO train for some reason, and I don't quite understand why, but if you enjoy it, then that's up to you guys. I've only heard negative stuff about the game, so... And that's, of course, subjective to what you want out of the game, I guess. Then again, MMOs are not really my thing, so... You've only heard good things. Okay. So the first thing I did when I saw that they were doing the pay to play it early thing, or whatever you want to call it, was to look up reviews about the game, because I was curious to see what it was about after all. And the person playing said that he'd played the game in earlier stages as well, so he was comparing the alpha versions or whatever, early access, like, you know, very limited access stuff, to how the more open beta was like. Alright, Toto, have a nice watch, and thanks for the lurk. See you around. Maybe in Minecraft later today too, after I've eaten dinner in like a couple hours. So he was basically like comparing it before and after in that sense, and this was like the beta whatever thing that was available before release, meaning that I assume that the game in its current state is very similar to what he was reviewing, and it was what you could buy into. And his comments about the game were not exactly that positive. He talked a lot about pointless PvP that wasn't even fun, and lack of in-game content where everyone looks the same, so there was like no variety between like you know, it's an MMO. You want to feel like some kind of special, but everyone just looked the same, and the end game was kind of like meh, because it basically amounted to like session-based PvP at that stage, from what I could see. So, and when he said like the PvP was kind of like bad because it was like the open world PvP, right? You could get bounties to take out other players or something from the opposite faction, but you know, anyone that you engaged in PvP could just run away, which they ended up doing, and you had to take out like people that were doing delivery jobs anyway, so they would just like run around stuff. Played it since it was possible. All right. Yeah, and as I said, like if you're finding enjoyment out of it, then go ahead. I'm just not gonna buy into it because there was literally like it was all like a mediocre experience from what he was putting out. There was nothing special in it from an MMO sense, nothing that made it stick out. The hit detection was terrible. They had like connection issues, which obviously can be mitigated by better servers at this stage, right? But from his review, he basically said that because it was like, well, who is behind it again? Is it Amazon's MMO? Because it was like one of the larger companies, right, or something, and it was like running off of their servers, so it must have been Amazon servers, I suppose, but I could be wrong on that. You played since mid-beta. Okay. Yeah, Amazon games. Okay, so I wasn't completely off on that one. Yeah, and that's what they were like running off their Amazon server systems as well, so he was not having high hopes for stability if that was like the case. But what do I know? Okay, so we've got these photon combiners now. And they were used for... Did we just make them? No, surely they were used for something that we needed. Oh yeah, the solar sails and graphene. Photon combiners and graphene. But yeah, it just looked like a dated MMO from what I could tell. The launch day, my friend had a queue of 14k. Sure, just because a lot of people play it doesn't mean that it's good. And for an MMO, 14k isn't a lot either. Even if it's a queue. As far as I know, right? But again, regardless, even if there is a queue and it might be seemingly long, doesn't mean that it's a good game. Could just be the result of good marketing material. It also depends on what people want in MMOs. Just find it funny. Yeah, well, I can only say what I've seen, and I was not impressed. Oh wait, this has to be the opposite way on one of them. Maybe even both of them, actually. Where's the graphene at again? But yeah, I'm very upfront when it comes to that kind of stuff, so don't take it as like, oh, the game that you're playing sucks and you should feel bad about it, but it's just like, that's just my standpoint, of course, so everything's subjective and more importantly subjective to change. Can show you a whole new world. Aha. A whole new world. Do-do, 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 do-do. Huh. There it is. There's the graphene. So it goes along here and then around. Okay. Let's make a little bit of split here. Big funny. Can we? No, we cannot. Does not matter. That is annoying. Oh, I know what we do. We just do this. What was actually the last MMO that I played, not counting WoW Classic, that is? That's a good question. Now that I think about it. Surely it wasn't Black Desert Online. Because that feels like ages ago. Because it also was ages ago. I was like halfway through university at that stage. Any other MMOs that I've even played or given a try recently? Don't think so, actually. Then again, I've never really been into MMOs to begin with. It's just something, I don't know. There's something about certain MMOs that just don't really, you know, it just feels like a poor man's version of like other games in like a similar style, but not an MMO. You're meh about MMOs. All right. I think that's it's probably a good one. Like a good stance to be. Oh, I actually know. I think I know exactly which MMO I played last. And we have how many? 27. Okay. We can probably make do with some speed. The last MMO I played, that was Maple Story 2, which no longer exists. I'm pretty sure that must have been the last one, because that was after Black Desert Online. Ooh. Oh yeah, and I did play Arcage actually as well. I can't remember if that was after or before. Holy shit, we annihilated that one. Yours was BDO. How did you like it, boy? Oh, Maple Story 2. It got shut down because they couldn't... there's like a couple reasons I could imagine, but... the main thing is probably they couldn't figure out a good way to monetize on it. But it was like so bad with bots in that game. It was ridiculous. It's a pretty good one. Okay. I have mixed feelings about BDO. When did you play it, boy? Because that might have something to do with your experience. Wasn't a Dutch guild, so that helped. Yeah, I can imagine. Me and the people at uni, we had our own guild as well. What were we called again? I think we were called Rooftop Roamers or something like that. And because we were all in it together at uni, it meant that we saw each other on a daily basis, so... Sounds like you're Kratos. Alright. But yeah, my experience from BDO was that it was cool at first, but in-game fucking sucked. It was like so terribly built because it was like a patchwork solution, economy simulator, or like it's one of those Asian MMOs where you can spend literally months for a 1% stat increase over everyone else. Been learning Latin? Want to know some? Well, sure, Andre. But yeah, fucking BDO in-game was so bad. For anyone that doesn't know, Black Desert Online didn't have a hard level cap. And I assume they still don't, meaning that once you reach the soft level cap, as you put it, you can still level, but at an exceedingly slow rate. And because open world PvP was enabled at level 30 or 35 or something with no way of turning it off, every time you get ganked by another player, you still lose experience. So since all the good leveling XP grinding areas are going to be contested by other players, yeah, go figure how that experience is like. Was it 50? I played BDO right from the get-go and stopped playing before they implemented the first expansion, so I don't know if it was different then. Salve mihi nomen est Andre. Well, except you can't really assume that pronunciation is correct, but sure. Hello, my name is Andre. Alright. 23rd of October. Okay, you want me to check? Wait, no, I can't do that because I didn't play it on Steam. Now that I think about it. Cause... yeah. Yeah, I can't check it on Steam. Because it wasn't on Steam back then, and then when they finally landed on Steam, then you had to pay for it separately and you couldn't just transfer your account or just use your existing one. Which was like, an interesting approach. But yeah, what I basically heard from my friends was that, that had played Arcade, was that, oh, Black Desert Online is like a stripped down version of Arcade without all the fun bits. And I went on to play Arcade at some point afterwards and still found that game pretty lacking as well, so... Because I went into BDO with the understanding that it would be like a survival MMO thing where you would be able to gather resources and build up like a thing on like designated land plots for your guild or whatever, however that whole thing worked. But in reality, it's just like grind your life away, get ganked 24/7 open world PvP game. That's a way better description to me. Haven't really played any MMOs. That's fair. I've not played that many either. Like, a lot of them has actually skipped me. But then again, I have played a couple. Like, I have played RuneScape. I have played... what was it called again? Runes of Magic? Like that really old free-to-play. We're in the Weeb servers, so I didn't really encounter that. Oh, you were in the Weeb server, so you didn't really encounter that. Huh. Yeah, I mean... and when I played, there wasn't really that many people that were high level anyway, but it did happen that you would just get like roadblocked on your auto-pathing to the nearest village, town to sell your goods with your cart. And they would just like completely trash you because you couldn't do anything as a solo player without like a guild being there to back you up. And the whole like open world forced PvP thing was just so not fun to me. I have played MMOs where they did some really cool stuff. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist anymore either. Happened to those people would get thrashed immediately in those servers. Okay, interesting. Sounds kind of not cool. Yeah, I mean, it's like it would be a similar experience to playing Ark on a PvP server. The exact same reason why I don't play Ark PvP. Because it's trash. And it probably always will be, no matter what people say. But that doesn't mean that you can't still make like open world exploration MMOs that are still fun for people like me. The most fun I've had with like dynamic world questing and such in an MMO has got to be a game called Firefall, which was a how shall we say it? So it was like a fairly traditional MMO, but it was a shooter MMO. That time if you played New World, you had fun. Well, that's good. That's good. But yeah, Firefall. Open world exploration. No open world PvP per se, as far as I remember, but instead there was a huge focus on dynamic world events where you would be out questing or exploring, and then just out of nowhere a quest would just generate, or like an objective thing would generate nearby, and you could drop in like dynamically without the need for like looking for group or anything like that. As soon as you started participating, bam, you would be in. And as long as you participated, you would get full rewards based off of your participation. So, and since it was PvE, you weren't competing against other players, but rather everyone was working together towards a common goal. You have a VIP ticket to the best guild, one of the best. All right. Well, get back to me in a month and then you can tell me what the experience has been like. It's probably the best way to figure out how good or bad it's going to be. But unfortunately, Firefall also shut down, probably because they had issues monetizing it, because it was a how was it monetized again? It was like a weird thing. I can't remember. I don't think it was subscription. I'm pretty sure it was like a one-time purchase, but with microtransactions in game. All right, Andre. Which is a shame, because I really enjoyed the gameplay loop. It wasn't necessarily super pretty in comparison to other MMOs and stuff that exist out there. Ah, this is what I was looking for. This belt has sort of like started disappearing for me. But it did one thing right, and that was that it was fun, at least. That way. Yeah, exactly, Andre. Exactly. Of course, I won't be able to give like any better opinion myself, because I won't be playing it. That is the thing, like, you know, when you see a game play review or whatever and you don't think it's even worth your time investment, then unfortunately you're never going to give it a chance, of course, but that is just how life is. Okay, so let me think about this one. There's a lot of tilt on this planet, actually, now that I notice it. Yeah, axial inclination's 22 degrees, negative 22 degrees, that's what it means, right? So that's how much it tilts. Oh, sorry. Because I'm looking around the planet to figure out where to put these things, but I think it's probably just going to be around the South Pole. Annoyingly though, that means a long ass belt for the time being. Literally just straight up there. Except there's nothing straight about going through all of this. Unless I literally put it above everything else, but... you know what, we might as well at least give it a shot. But yeah, Firefall had a lot of stuff going for it. So other than the various different, because the open world dynamic quests or objectives or whatever were really well made in the sense that depending on where on the in the game world you would be, there would be different kinds of objectives, right? So in less populated areas, because they were earlier in your leveling progression, the events that would generate there would subsequently also require fewer people to actually, you know, participate, which is very important for an MMO, because otherwise you make these like super cool events that no one can ever do because you need players all the time. So in the smaller areas, they're like completable by small groups of people. But in the end game stuff, it's like it required pretty much a larger group, but after a certain threshold, it's more about like, oh, if you're more people, you can do it faster, you know? It's not like a must. It's just like to everyone's benefit if you're more people. And one of the events was like a core drill that would drop down that you would then have to protect for a while, so just like a survival thing. So you would just be like out in the area doing quests, taking out enemies or collecting resources for some kind of objective, and then all of a sudden you get the message that, oh, like Fallout 76 style, I guess, that a drop pod is like falling down in the near vicinity, telling you that you can go and check it out. And you'll go to it, and there will be other players chipping in and joining us as the countdown reaches 0. It's kind of cool. One of the main reasons I got New World was because I wanted to play with my friend and he was going to no-life it. Alright. Yeah, that probably also makes a huge difference. Probably makes a huge difference. At least with like, if I think about how it was with 76, like that MMO also got like, because that is technically an MMO. Got way better with friends. Not that it was imperative for the experience, but you know, it was a multiplayer Fallout, so if you didn't play it multiplayer, then you were essentially missing out on this unique experience. Oh yeah, but you know, the question is how long, though. That is the main thing always. Oh shoot. I just realized we're not even making these things yet. So we have circuit boards and the blue engines, right? Yep, they are coming up here. Fuel sticks. Oh, we also, oh god. Okay, let's worry about the EM rail ejectors first. So we need iron, steel. Oh, that is annoying. I have a kind of idea on how to do this though. Can probably make it here because we only need one factory, so as long as we can squeeze it in, we're fine. There's also that thing where you might play a video game and you're not really realizing that you're not really having fun like as you would with other games, and I'm pretty sure there would be like there's like some kind of psychological aspect to it where you rationalize that, you know, oh, this game is fun because I'm playing it, but is it truly fun? And it's not something like I always like realize myself either, so. And there's always that thing that when people would bring it up, you would just rationalize even more that, oh, they're just bringing it up to be a pain in the ass or whatever. You know, whatever your reasoning is, and then, you know, your stance just becomes stronger on that, oh, this game is fun for no reason. And it's something that I've been wondering these past days, because like for instance Tumbles, right? He streams video games and doesn't really want to do too modded stuff. And I sometimes wonder, because from what I understand of it, it's more like, you know, you shouldn't need to mod a game for it to be fun. The rationality being that if you need to mod it in order for it to be fun, then was it truly fun to begin with? Right? It's a funky thing to think about. And I don't know quite honestly. I mean, mods should always be an additive, and I would argue that if you can have fun playing Factorio, for instance, without mods, and complete all objectives, which takes like a good amount of hours, assuming that you've never played it before, then I would argue that playing with mods is at that point just an additive, because you can't get enough of the game and you want it to be more than its original vision was sort of designed to be. Yes, tumbling satellite, exactly. Because if you noticed on his streams, he does TTK and stuff for RimWorld, but he doesn't really use that many mods in comparison to people like me. So we were doing rail ejectors, right? Yes. And over here we want to do gears. Yeah, I haven't been there all that much. That's also why I was like explaining how he is on the matter. At least that's what I understand from being in his chat. Could also be a little bit wrong, but regardless, that doesn't really change the point of the whole topic in the first place. So for the other one, we need basically the same apart from no iron gear, so no iron is required. But then we need silicon plates and photon thingamajiggies. Photon thingies. My item list is kind of balked. Okay, I guess you can try and explain a little bit more in detail when you get back. Shouldn't be all that much. Maybe it might be a little bit. Shouldn't be completely balked though. If anything, there might be some things missing, but yeah. Okay, so these things, how do we get these over there? Just transport them back across. Port occupied. Oh, right. Okay. So this is definitely... oh, crap. A bit of a messy belt setup because I'm insisting on making them these long-ass belts for some reason. Instead of doing what I probably should be doing, and that is to grab some more titanium, just build the bloody logistics drone setups already. But now I'm gonna just try and see how much you can actually accomplish with just the stuff on the very first planet, more or less. Consider it an extra challenge, I suppose. I mean, so far so good, right? Okay, so that's one. And the other one was the silicon stuff. And they're like all the way in the back here, if I recall. Yep. And not being produced all that quickly either. Guess we can take the overflow from the other belt there and then use it. Yeah, because the excess here is just going down for solar panels. Oh boy, that's going to be like a transport some ways and a half. I'm not going to comment on that, Andre. Mind your language. There's such a thing called uni. Unnecessary information is what it's called. So not really language, but... follow the yellow brick road, I guess. So we can just make it up next to this belt, then we should be fine. So, here, okay. Or we could go over there, that might be better. So we take it across here. Just run it over this copper line here. Yeah, because the photon emitters are there. Okay. Well, must be horizontal when turning. What the fuck are you talking about, game? Oh crap, I forgot. This part here is like screwing me over. Unless I want to literally take care of that bump in the road every single time. Phew, okay. I just gotta fix up the rest. If it isn't already done. Ah, there's like this connection here. That should do the trick. Yeah, we'll just take them over here, I guess. Might have to do something funky about this one, though. Okay, so far so good. Crap. Need these blue thingies. But the problem is that this belt is going in the opposite direction, so I can't just like... Right? It is going to the right here, right? It's not going up and about? No. Yeah. I have two options. Okay. I can either split it here, which... okay, actually that might work. So we can squeeze one in there. Do we also need steel? Yes. And the processor, so all of these are required. Very good. And then of course these are already in the air. So no need to lower those. Stream Raider says it's ready with 36 units. Alright. Let's take a bit of break from the factory shenanigans. Yeah, these guys are like slightly higher level. Haste or defense. If we take haste, we might just get the buffs before the enemy does, so let's try that, shall we? And this time it actually worked out. We did get the buff. Do, 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 do. Oh yeah, boy, if you're in chat right now and listening, did you, because you signed up for the, Stream Pirates thing. You heard from that yet? Because I know it's only been like a day or whatever, but mine did pop in pretty quickly. Not yet. Alright. The same map, okay. So I guess we'll just use a similar strategy. Actually, I should specify these as melee Now that I think about it, because ranged units won't go for the buffs. Or if they do, I don't think I've ever seen a ranged unit at least do something about the buff thingies. That actually worked. Oh wait, maybe you have? You can enter the thing. Okay, interesting. So the Stream Pirates thing is what you're referring to, right? Just making sure. Yep. Alright. Well, we'll see when we get to try it though. Because I'm not particularly keen on trying too much new stuff during the weekdays. It's like, I figured that if I want to stream during the weekdays, it's just like, get home, just sit down to the computer, play some games, pretty much. So, don't want to like have to mess with a lot of configuring if I can help it. And welcome back, Andre. Ray receivers. Let's do 4 stacks of those. Animals tab in the item list doesn't show animals. Animals tab. Hold on, I'm just curious. Gonna take a look-see. If I can spell the Twitch. Oh god. Shut up. Blah, 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 blah. Why is that all the way up there? It's the animals tab, you say? Wayward mobile assembler. I mean, that is an animal, but you're right. It could be because... I mean, there could be a couple of reasons for it. I don't remember if the animals tab was a thing when we played last, so that might be why. Because Surrender has been like working on stuff to separate the things in the list. Like the weapons tab was added the last time as well. Which one was this? I think it's the leftmost one. So we need to clear out all this stuff. Wait, what? High purity silicon? They're needing high purity silicon. Probably because this freaking arm is also occupied now. Let's try that again. There we go. Much better. You're pretty sure it was, you say? Well, I'm not gonna argue because I don't know. I haven't updated it for like 2 weeks either, so regardless, it might require updating when I start up the game next. TTK is like updating fairly frequently, so there's a lot of stuff that's being added as we speak. Okay, let's take some of those and some of those. It was the South Pole or North Pole, I believe. Yeah, so we gotta go over there. Because we already are making the solar sails. We just kind of have to build the conveyors and stuff. But I do remember on when we played RimWorld that people couldn't find any of the weapons because they were all of a sudden in their dedicated tab. Which of course is for the better, like it makes it way more user-friendly to find things within specific categories if it's sorted like that. I just realized we might want to do this over here. Okay. Looks pretty easy to figure out, a bit more tactics than raiders. Alright. I don't mind that. Can you play both at the same time, actually? Just out of curiosity. I guess there's nothing that prevents you from, right? Might be a bit overkill from a streamer's perspective to do both, but hey. Alright. Working EM rail cannons.
An EM rail ejector. You have taken the first step to build the Dyson Sphere. Now you can use it to send solar sails into space for forming the Dyson
Space.
Each EM rail ejector requires to set up orbit and supply with solar sails. Also, you can use copy and paste to set orbits. If you want a Dyson Swarm orbit become more diversified, you can click the Dyson Sphere button in the lower left corner of the screen to open the Dyson Sphere panel. Make your customization however you want.
Thank you, tutorial bot guy. I know how the Dyson Sphere thing works. Oh fuck, yeah. Some things that he did not mention though is that if you... They work a bit like factories, so if we go in here, now we get to set up our Dyson Swarm. Wow. Magic. So let's get into it, shall we? So as a baseline, the game just has this like default orbit that it generates for you, but you can add your own as well. So you can set the radius of the orbit, be it very, very small or very, very large. This is still, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, like this radius around here is still smaller than the nearest planet, right? So it doesn't mean that you accidentally collide your Dyson Sphere into a random planet. You can change the orbit inclination, you can change the longitude, which basically if I do this, and you can see how that sort of it like rotates around basically the central axis. So it's vertical and horizontal rotation. So if we were to set this to like 90 degrees or whatever, it does have like a few caveats. So the way this works is that the electromagnetic rail cannons need to have clear line of sight from the planet you put them on to this particular orbit, meaning that if we go down here and assume that the polar regions on a planet is going to be like, you know, close to the top and bottom, then if you make an orbit like this, and you only have EM rail ejectors on one side of your planet near the pole, they'll only be able to fill in your Dyson Swarm halfway around, meaning that half the time they're not going to do anything, so half the orbit stays sort of empty. And this is where it becomes a little bit funky, because I wonder, so our planet is on has like an inclination itself, which is negative 22 degrees, which I wonder, because I never really thought too much about this other than, oh, you probably want to make like an inclination like this or something. But I do hope that by setting this to a 22 degree inclination and then the longitude to 180 degrees, that's basically like negative 22. So if we assume that we're like the planet on this outer ring here or whatever, and we like do like this, and then we rotate around that axis, then hopefully that means that we get to fill in the Dyson sphere more frequently. Again, you know, if another celestial orbit gets within you and the destination, then they won't be able to hit it still. But let's create this one. And I probably won't use the first orbit. I don't remember ever doing it. But you can have like a lot of different orbits here, as you see. So we can add another one of 22 degrees. And then set that to 21,000 maybe. Here we go. Because you can also do both. So have some of your rail ejectors shoot at one target and some of them shoot at another target. And, you know, because you have multiple planets, you can arrange these onto the different planets and such. For now, though, we're just going to do number 2. And it's already aiming at towards the orbit, but I don't know if it's got clear line of sight, because it's flashing red. I don't know if it also does that just from being in a lack of ammunition, of course. Okay, let's flatten out this ground just a little bit. So I don't think we want that road conveyor thingy going up there. Let's do it from here. So these thick lines are basically like the cross section middle points, or whatever you want to call it, of the planet. So it's like sort of divided into 4 quadrants, or whatever you want to call it. Slices? Maybe slices. Might be a better word for it. And I guess it doesn't really matter if it's the first one. It's not here. Okay. Of course, the orientation of these cannons platform doesn't matter either, because they can rotate all the way around. There we go. So yeah, it's like aiming in that direction, but I don't know if it's got a line of sight. No biggie. Yeah, we're gonna need a lot of belts for this one. Thankfully though, these cannons, or it's kind of also a little bit of a nuisance, but they do need a lot of space in between so that they can rotate and do all the shooty stuff. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a shooty bang bang, because since it's electromagnetic rails, they don't make any sound when firing, unless they've changed it. It didn't used to be that way, at least. RimWorld Esports. RimWorld Esports. What? What are you talking about, Andre? Oh, that's not cool. What if RimWorld was an esports thing? I don't know. I find it hard to imagine it as one. Let's just put it that way. Because it's not a competitive game. So you would have to change the whole game to be competitive in some way in order for it to be an esport, I suppose, right? I don't know. Because we do have other games like Age of Empires, which is a completely different kind of game than like a shooter, but it's still a competitive one, right? So yeah, how would you do? It's more. I think the question would more be like, how would you do RimWorld as an esport then? Unless you're literally gonna be like esport doing like speed runs or something like that. That would also be kind of weird. Let's go and grab some fuel. I guess it's just this weird thing to imagine as space engineers as an esport. With space engineers, I could imagine it a little bit better though. Since that game has like multiplayer built in, although not being so super like well suited for it because of the physics simulations and all that stuff. Yeah, so it's orange, which means it can't hit the target at the moment. Okey-doke. That is actually kind of interesting. I didn't notice that until now. Oh, lack of item. God fucking damn it. So that means this is already 30. Okay. But I didn't notice that these EM rail ejectors, unless the drones are just that fast, they like immediately place the sorter as well. Could just be because they're so fast at it, because they can do like 2 jobs before returning now. Let's do a little bit of a charging station here, eh? Oh, missed that one. Charge me up faster. Needs to be faster. Yeah, now we should also be able to go over and actually pick up enough rail ejectors. I do wonder though, because it could be that these rail ejectors, if I literally just mimicked the rotation orbit or whatever, like inclination and all that of the planet, then they might literally never be able to hit the the orbit that I set up, because they will always be like, you know, following it along, so it'll be just out of reach always. Which then means that we might just have to do some other stuff. Basically raise that orbit up by 90 degrees in the right direction. But yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier. I have never really contemplated how those orbits work in terms of how you should arrange your orbits according to your ejectors, that is. We can have that in there, that's fine. Last time I played, it wasn't really that big of an issue because I just built the energy thingies, and didn't really matter in the long run whether or not you you were 100% optimal, right? It just works. Okay, so it barely doesn't fit. Cool, cool. Yeah, let's do this first line of rail ejectors and then take a look at the orbit and see what we can do. Okay, so if I remember correctly, just press M, and then there's the Dyson Sphere. Well, okay. So they're all set for orbit 2, which for the time being, we can... Can we not edit the orbit? I thought we could. Oh, that's annoying. Crap, okay. That is a bit of a nuisance. Because that means I have to go around and set the orbit for all the turrets, I'm pretty sure now. Unless I am fortunate that this will do. Nope, it does not. Pitch limit. Target pitch angle -22 degrees. So what if we say 90 degrees -20? That would be 70. So let's try that. Yeah, it's outside of the pitch limit. Alright. Could also just be a matter of rotating this thing 90 degrees about something, another axis. There's probably like a method to this as well, but we're just messing around, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, so there we're getting like something, but I think I know what we might just want to do then. Delete that. Deactivate it. So we literally just do like this. Maybe that might work a little bit better. Surprisingly not. So I was like aiming way out there. So we can actually see some of the Dyson Swarm panels that got put into this orbit, and they were put like all the way down there. Oh, maybe the problem is that I raised it up like that. No, wait, I didn't do that for the test one I just did. Hey, something is happening. So if we go to this map now, we can actually see where we are. Yeah, so we're like way out there and they're being shot in at the bottom of this. Hopefully this is gonna work then. There's probably always gonna be like a time frame in which the EM rail ejectors don't get to shoot these things out into space. I do hope maybe one day I should just look up a video that explains how to do this, because there's bound to be like a method to it. And once you know how to do it, it's probably really easy as well. Like a diamond in the sky. Okay. Well, for the time being though, we do have stream raiders. So let's just take a look at that. This might be a bit of a tough one though, because they're getting harder and we're not getting more people in. But maybe with our unit composition we might still do the trick. The trick might still do it. Like no one's going for the buffs. Oof. Our archers are really getting wrecked by those wargs. No! God dang it. We'll try again though. If we beat this one, the next loyalty skin chest, just in case. In case that might incite people to be put down even more units. We'll see though. Yeah, we still want to go on the right hand side. I'll put down a big boy. And we'll be back there later. Alright. So before we do too much else, let's see, how many can I put down here? Probably just 4.
We built a ray receiver, which can receive the high energy rays transmitted from the Dyson
Oh,
Sphere
actually
and directly
more?
input
No.
them to the power grid. However, caused by the ray receiving efficiency, the ray receiver's requested power will be larger than the documented output power of the Dyson Sphere. You can keep it working or upgrade technologies to increase the ray receiving efficiency.
Wait, why am I not allowed to put this one here? What? The fuck? Why is this one different? Okay, let's try a different approach then. Let's try and place the diagonals first, see if we can get them all squeezed in here. That's interesting. How is it so off-center? What the hell is going on there? I mean, the middle one is placed smack dab in the middle. And then this one is a straight line out there. Oh, that's because this one was misplaced. Huh. There we go, that's much better. Still can't put down this last one for some unknown reason. Oh. It's because I've got a lag of items. I'm such a dumbass. Yeah, I only just noticed that, boy. I only just noticed that. But this is like probably one of the coolest ways of producing powers, like visually. Who doesn't like shooting things into the sky, right? Fuck rockets.
The amount of your solar sails has reached a certain scale, and they have formed a Dyson Swarm around the star. You should be able to clearly see it right now. To receive such energy, you have built a ray receiver to absorb the transmission, where Dyson Swarm can generate power simultaneously. Every solar sail launched for a certain life cycle. If you want to maintain the Dyson Swarm, you have to continue on injecting the solar sails.
Yes. So that is the problem with the Dyson Swarm. All the solar sails in the Dyson Swarm have a limited lifespan, basically, meaning that eventually they just dissipate. But yeah, look at this. This is so fucking cool. Pew pew pew! So if we zoom out now, you can see the Dyson Swarm being formed. And if we fly out into space, they're also there, so like it's all just a bunch of particles, but it's so fucking cool. Hi bolts. Hi to you. Welcome to the chat. I think you're new here. Don't seem to recognize your name. Light a star that belongs to you in the Milky Way view. Oh, okay. I am, yes. Well, we're playing Dyson Sphere. Wow. What's it called again? Yeah, it's called Dyson Sphere Program. For some reason, that title just totally like went by myself. We're just establishing our Dyson Swarm. Rip. And we haven't really, like, we've automated a lot of stuff, but we haven't really done much in terms of planet interconnectivity. So there's a lot of stuff that we don't have yet. Playing it yourself a lot recently to watch some other streams. Alright. It's a pretty cool game. You probably agree. It's easily one of my favorite factory games out there. I've played it quite a bit myself, but last time I played was back when it first came out. So it's been a hot second ever since that was relevant. So some things have been added ever since and changed. Like, for instance, when I first played, blueprints weren't a thing. You couldn't even, I'm pretty sure upgrading facilities weren't a thing either, so you had to build all the factories by hand. Just started in the last month. Ah, okay. Yeah, so you don't have the same unfortunate experiences that I do. Nah, it was honestly not that bad. But it's much more pleasant now with all the quality of life in there. Okay, so we have ray receivers on this end of the planet. So just as a little tutorial on these, I guess. So these need to be continuously lit, if you will, or receiving of, I guess it's some kind of solar panel energy from the Dyson Swarm / Sphere. And while it gets continuous receiving, it increases in efficiency up to a certain point. So by putting them on the poles where you have the most sunlight most consistently, they usually tend to like be active almost 24/7. Yeah, shift dragging structures helps a ton. Yeah. Why is there no hello there sound redeem? I can make one, boy. So you're talking about the Kenobi hello there, right? I assume that's what you mean. I can add it to the list. But of course. I watched a Star Wars Fury video on why Joe Kenobi would like do that in that situation, because people have been like kind of confused as to why he would announce his presence to an enemy, especially of such high importance. When he like spends so much effort like sneaking in, and then instead of just silently basically assassinating his target, I guess, he like says hello there. I would agree, it's like a little bit of a weird thing, but if it weren't for that, we wouldn't have all the memes now. The power. So now if we look at our power, should be pretty good. Yeah. Can I? Yeah, so the production is going up, of course. 500 and what per minute? It just says 511, but not what it is producing. I assume this is power. And consumption is 0. Probably because we're supplying enough on our planet already. It's producing more than 200 megawatts. Okay, so if we go back in, that is a very different number than 200. Are those the solar sails? Ah, that. But it says per minute though, so that means that we should be able to pump this many out per minute. But why is that number rising? That is kind of weird. All right. Yeah, I couldn't quite remember. I just assumed that that you would be able to see it in here because this is the whole system. So, considering that these things are hooked up to the power grid and have a maximum output, I guess they are like in there. It's just not separate from all the other power. So that's probably why. Yeah, 220 megawatts and climbing. But hey, this works. We got power. All right, thanks, Gims. Yeah, I don't think I ever looked at these things if they were even implemented when I first played it. So it's a little bit of a while ago. But yeah, consumption is when they start dissipating, I suppose. But yeah, so the next thing we should probably get is interstellar logistics stations and logistics vessels. I haven't made drones yet either, but I think the interstellar stuff is more important at the moment. That does require some really annoying materials though. This titanium alloy. Well, should have sulfuric acid coincidentally right next to me. But where is the steel? Now that is another question. This is iron being used for what again? Oh yeah. That's for all the electric motors and stuff. Okay, well I know we're producing steel somewhere that feeds into here, but where? Okay, so we're doing a little bit of there, but I don't think that's what I was contemplating. I'm pretty sure we have another factory somewhere. The only question is where though? Because I wasn't on the other planet, I don't think. Because we barely built anything over there. Surely that is not my only steel production. No, here it is. So, where does this come in? Oh god, this is... Okay, so it just feeds into here. I see. Okay, well now we know where it is. Huh. Well, I think the best approach would be to just try and make it over here. End up building your primary factory on the second planet. Yeah, that's what I did on my first playthrough too, because my first planet was just such a mess. Trying to figure out how to best play the game. Or best play the game is maybe a strong way of putting it, but how to work with the rather, let's call it different grid system in this, because it's very different from any of the other factory games out there, really. Oh god. This is fine. But since this is my second time around, I'm a little bit more confident in how I do things. And we've pretty much automated creation of all the structures apart from a few select things like accumulators and then these stations here. Everything else is actually automated as far as I can tell. Like, and we've basically just gone to the second planet to harvest titanium. That's it. Nothing else. So I'm very proud of that. We didn't even end up using tier 2 belts or sorters because we didn't end up making them until I was ready basically to already make tier 3. And we made the tier 3s at that point as fast as the T2s, so there was literally no reason to utilize tier 2 belts and sorters at all. They were like obsolete on arrival. This is always like that spot where I end up sending belts through, and it's getting a little bit messy because they're like layered on top of each other. I do not like it. And I could be cheeky and feed it through here, but that belt here, which, what is it transporting again? Oh yeah, the solar sails, isn't it? I think we can just thread the needle on the left side of this and then just follow it along, then we should be okay. Oh god. Now I just need to find a way to where that is. I think it was over here, right? Jeez. I should just have like tried to backtrack all the way. So there's that. And here we are. Okay, not too bad. As cool as this new, like, oh, all the components are just like flying out on the ground feature is, it's also a little bit, I don't know. I always end up just deleting them because it's rarely ever enough for me to consider picking it up. Yeah, so now we should be able to just... Oh, it's not even at that height. Huh, interesting. Maybe we can actually... Oh, you know what? I think we might be able to run it underneath. Assuming there's nothing else. Yeah, apart from here, maybe. Oh, and then that intersection, but we can just like do a nice ugly maneuver around that. Make that spaghetti junction more than it already is. Take it there. We can get to place these belts without major hassle, of course. Can we? Oh, we can actually just run it across there. Nice. It's only here that it crosses into a problem. We'll just do this and happily forget about it until it becomes relevant. Okay, so far so good. Wasn't there somewhere along the line that... Yeah, okay, so this is not completely built. Oh, and then it's that floating bit there. There we go. Okay. Where is it? There it is. Smelting facility. Oh joy. And this is one of those really weird ones. So you get 4 out, but you also require 4 in, 4 in, and 8 in. So we normalize that, so you basically have 2 sulfuric acid belts, 1 steel and 1 titanium. That makes 4 belts, and then you have, I guess you could separate the output into 2 belts or something. Not really necessary because everything's normalized, but I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Because although we need a lot of them, being like anal about it being 100% efficient is maybe a bit unnecessary at this point. Maybe that can be like a long-term objective, try and make some factories that completely utilize the bandwidth, but I don't know. I don't usually want to go that much into detail. Okay, so 4 belts. Also need the steel, which is around here, so probably just cut off some of this thermal generator stuff. Or just cut across here, I guess. Don't even need to remove anything. Well, don't need to remove anything except inventory contents. Okay, let's make this inlet first and then take a look. So one of those. Have an idea. Silly idea, but it's an idea. So we take this and down. So that's the first belt. I know we're just taking the same input and like splitting it up in 2, which kind of doesn't make much sense in terms of belt speed and all that. The time being, but it's more that like it's not the input that's currently the most important, but the actual factory itself. Because if the factory that produces this stuff in terms of its in and output lanes or whatever is like adjusted appropriately, it means you can always change the sort of location where all the resources are distributed into the system. So if we replace this with a station later, then it's no longer an issue that it's 1 belt, right? And we don't have to change anything in the factory setup and haven't built ourselves into a corner because all that was thought about when we originally built the factory. That's kind of how I've been designing this whole thing from the get-go. Not necessarily being able to supply the demand at first, but then when we do have the supply available, then we don't really need to change the factory setup. We just need to hook it up at the inputs and outputs differently. There we go. So future-proofing, basically. And that was the wrong thing, wrong direction. Yeah, now we're out of belts, of course. It's okay. In and output. Could even make like another mirrored thing here, it seems. It's got enough space for it. Right. I remember why I wanted to put the belts down first now. I remember why. So I could get rid of all this titanium that I have on me. That was just waiting to be put in there, literally. But yeah, we've got blue belts on demand. We can recycle our T1s. And the same goes for all our sorters. That's also sorted. Just works. It's not the most efficient factory for making all the structures that you need, but it works just well enough to sort of establish a starting thing. So while we're working on our factory, it's just chugging along, producing all the things that we wanted to. It's literally just all the different structures. Why 2 lanes of sulfur? So if we look in the recipe for these, this is not that one, it's this one. So if we look at the recipe for this, it says 4 titanium, 4 steel, and 8 sulfur, meaning that if you put down 2 belts of sulfur, then the only thing you have to think about is like scaling everything up, because you've normalized the inputs and outputs. That's like one way that I prefer dealing with some of these engineering tasks, or whatever you want to call it. Because we could just make do with 1 belt as well and then account for belt speed, but if we just put 2 belts in, then it's, you know, a 1-to-1 ratio on everything. And then later, even though it feeds in with like from one source right now, which basically is the same as splitting up the belt speed into half in both belts, right? Because equally distributed and all that. This does open up the possibility of us feeding in more resources later. And I can even completely remove this setup, but the most important thing is that the factory design is just designed to like stretch in the distance, right? Just one long factory with an output that returns back to where the input is. That also allows you later for the logistics drones to stations to take care of both in and output if you want to. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like designing the factory with future-proofing in mind, so that you don't get back here later and you're like, oh fuck, now we need to squeeze 1 belt in here, but then you build a factory right next to it that sort of prevents you from doing so without completely ripping up everything and starting from scratch. Because I've tried that in the first playthrough a couple of times, where I just had to completely delete entire factory setups because they didn't account for some of the things I learned later. This is overkill, but we're doing it anyways. Yeah, because there'll be people that look at this and say like, oh, okay, it takes 12 seconds for it to craft this thing. And then like a belt speed of these is like 30 items per second. Meaning that if you do so and so because you need 4 of each, then you need this much. But for a lot of these tasks here, you can simplify that problem by just saying like, oh, titanium ingots. It takes 2 seconds to craft and 2 inputs or 2 resources as input. Well, since it only produces or like involves a total of 3 individual items, if you were to completely even it out, you can essentially put down 2 input lanes for the titanium ore and then have 1 output lane and then you just need twice as many smelters in order to completely fill up your bandwidth. So if you have a belt speed of 30 items per second, but it takes 2 seconds to produce something, you would need 60 smelters, I guess, right? So it would be a long ass factory, but you would fill out the belt bandwidth eventually. Of course, it's a bit hard to see in the beginning because they have an internal buffer for ore, and the first ones will fill up first, but once it's completely full, you're making use of it that way. What I've ended up doing is having the factory being 2 lanes and the 2 low... Oh, freaking stream captain. Doing is having the factory being 2 lanes of buildings. I would have output and the 2 low quantity inputs on the inside and have 2 sulfur lanes on the exterior. 2 lanes of buildings. Right. Yeah, because you can also do that, right? And sometimes it makes more sense to do that. I can go back to that. We'll go back to that after Stream Raiders. But there's actually strengths and weaknesses to both solutions. Most notable weakness to the solution I just proposed is that you have a freaking long ass factory, and that's a lot of space that you need to dedicate to one thing in a very straight line. So it also basically means that you're forced to build your factory around the horizontal axis rather than the vertical, unless you do it on the actual absolute center points. It's going to be a complete mess. Uh-oh. Oh, we did get that buff destroyed. LOL. We've got a freaking buffed black barrel, let's go. What? I didn't even know. How is that even possible? I guess they just pick up the buff. Made all your factors on the horizontals. Yeah, I didn't do that on the first playthrough. My very first main bus factory was on the vertical axis. That was not a good choice, strategic decision, I figured. Next one is the loyalty skin chest, so get in here if you want to be part of that. Of course, you're Black Bearer. Yeah, you're proud? Are you proud, boy? Of course it's yours. Oh, and I guess I can put down a Templar. Just to be fancy. You can consider putting some ranged over there. I don't know how well it's gonna go, but it might do okay because they do have a barrier. There's some ranged units on the right on the opposite side, but a lot of this is melee from what I can see. But if we put some melee units here, hopefully they go for that ball instead of the enemy straight away. We'll see though. Only time will tell. Moved up to logistics systems earlier though. Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred to do that as well, but you need titanium and I can't be bothered handcrafting stuff. And I'm making that part of my challenge to do as little handcrafting as possible. I haven't handcrafted anything, I don't believe, since... Ooh, that's obviously going to be a bold statement, but other than a few resources and some basic research, I don't think I handcrafted stuff ever since we got belts almost. So it's a little bit like the Factorio challenge of only handcrafting up to 111 items, I suppose. But not really doing it as an achievement just because it's more convenient to just be able to go over in your system and just say like, oh, I need this, this, and this, and then you just leave. But yeah, the for this arc smelter setup, of course, you could also split it up between so that the smelters are side by side, so your setup is wider than it is longer. Because then you would just need, you know, 2 lanes of 30 smelters instead of 1 lane worth of 60. And you can still do the double lane setup, though I guess in that case it doesn't really matter. But you would need like steel on either side, or put steel and the other resource in the middle and then have the outputs on the outside. Regardless, there would be one belt that would... Actually, no, you could do it. I think you could do it. If you had 4 belts in the middle and then have the outputs on the outer edges, maybe that would do it. And then have the sulfuric acid on the outside, just. And then in the middle you would have the steel and titanium stuff. So that they could both reach that, but then each of the smelters could only reach their own, like, output, if that makes any sense. Should be one of the achievements here too. Like, should be or is. There's a difference. I haven't checked the achievements. I just started playing again because I saw the achievements were implemented, so... Oh, it's need of power. Okie dokie. Guess we'll just put it there. Alright, I could just have pressed Control C. Didn't see it. Achievements were added in the last week or so. Yeah. Spent a whole stream trying to get them. Alright. Some of them are, like, from what I heard, pretty obnoxious because they're speedrunning achievements. I will probably never go for them because I never did for Factorio. I can't be bothered, honestly. 612. I think this is fine for now. But yeah, I do prefer these kind of factory setups that you can just scale indefinitely until you cap out on your belt speed. That's how I also play Factorio. It makes your factories very clean, but also doesn't really leave a lot for creative, let's call it, creative factory design. Now I'm just realizing I'm not reaching the last freaking thing. Maybe I do need to have these on the other side then. Best way to expand this, in your honest opinion, is to draw the belts out first, then shift click the factory and drag the factory out to where the belts are. Yes. And no, I guess. I would agree. When I first started playing again and I found out that you could now drag factories and all that stuff, I was like, oh, then you just put down the belts and then you drag the whole thing across. Except I've learned that sometimes you can't do that. Like, it won't allow you to do this basically because sometimes the factories get placed too close to each other if it's copied from one grid to the one next to it. Here is probably going to be hard to illustrate, and I don't know if that's actually the case with the smelters, but I have noticed it with the assemblers that if you take them to a completely different grid, sometimes you can't drag it across because then they are all of a sudden overlapping, since it just spaces it out according to the grid. So if the original design is in a very, very compact narrow grid like this one over here, or even like, actually, I think it might even be the opposite way around, right? So if you build something that's very close to each other in this wider grid and you want to copy paste it over to a more narrow grid, then they might overlap. Adjust spacing a lot with plus minus. Plus minus. Adjust spacing. Copies. It copies recipes and sorters, yeah. I mean, in the past it just copied the recipes. When dragging out, you can plus minus adjust how far apart. Oh, I didn't know that. Huh? Oh, that's weird. Why does it do it in like, oh, no, wait, what? But, huh? Why does it only do like every so often at a time? That's strange. Huh. I wonder why that is. Okay, well that's good to know because that eases some of the pain I've been having. Like when placing solar panels near the polar regions, sometimes they won't go down because they're, yeah, like this, basically. So if you just press plus 3 times, then it evens it out. Okay, cool. Alright, boys, see you later. Don't forget Stream Raiders. It is the skin loyalty chest. Sometimes the odd spacing is handy for adding power poles. Ah, that's actually a good point. Though I don't think I ever put power poles in between the smelters, and for the assemblers you can always, from what I've noticed, put them in between assemblers regardless. So, oh, and there are situations too where copying it over might be more beneficial. The chemical plants is an example of that, since you can put the power pole in that corner there, so if you copy it, then you won't be able to drag it, but you will be able to stack it right next to each other if you design the blueprint correctly. And then you don't need to go back and place power in like a weird situation either, or in between losing space. It's just one thing. So everything has its merits, I guess. The main gripe I have, though, with the whole copying system is that if I were to copy this across, the belts would not be connected. Actually, can you? Why? Why, of course you can. Okay. So you can also go into negative. Ah, so that's how you do it. Oh. Then that is like infinitely more useful. I didn't know this was the spacing thing was possible, but I just thought about that, huh? Oh, you can do it though. Like if you press minus, now they're all connected. You just need to design the blueprint correctly, and it tiles seamlessly. Huh? Would you look at that? Yeah. So the only caveat being that, if you look at this blueprint, you need to have those additional belts that connect in between. So not just the ones for the factory, but also the connectors, and then you just press minus and then they're connected. Yeah, because otherwise, like what I was doing is put one down and then, you know, doing the next one over like that, because then it tiles. So, oh, okay. Well, that means that that feature that I was bitching about on the last stream is actually in the game. I just didn't know how to use the system. That's good. In your own words, very neat. Okay, so for all of this, titanium as well. God damn it. Well, I guess I'll have to make another trip, huh? Unless I insist on just making it out of rocks. Okay. As far as I can tell, I just need to move that titanium alloy a little bit of a distance, though, because I need to put that into this setup over here. The freaking... Well, that's annoying. Things you complained most about is the Dyson Sphere UI and how Blueprint's copy-paste is so restrictive when it lets you place. Well, when I played, there was no copy-paste system. So Someone else said when I was bitching about it yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before, whatever? Well, at least it's there. Which is true, but you know, you can always wish for more. But the thing that I was bitching about was possible, it's just that I didn't know how to use the copy pasting system, and apparently the person that was in chat didn't either, because otherwise they would have corrected me saying like, well, actually instead of borderline just defending the devs. Sort of, it's that thing they were doing where, oh, but you know, making video games is difficult and it's a small team and all that stuff, but when all is said and done, you know, it's a video game in early access, so of course you want to ask for features that might be useful. For example, with copy paste, you feel it allows you to paste the same building belts over an existing one. Like it should allow it to do that. Yeah. Which it clearly does. You just need to know how to do it. Oh no, I know what you mean. Yeah. Now yeah, so, and it's not just for belts, it's just existing things, right? Because that's a thing you can do in Factorio, where if you hold down shift on a blueprint and some things are overlapping, then assuming it's the exact same thing as in the blueprint, it'll copy paste over, and if not, it'll just skip those parts entirely, if I remember. Because that's also the very first thing I tried to do in this game's copy paste system when I was trying it out for the first time, and then realizing you couldn't do that. So, do I not move them in here? So we have these things, of course. But, That is not what I'm looking for. I can't zoom that far in if I'm not there in person. That sucks. Oh yeah. I wasn't, even when I started streaming a couple days ago, I didn't even know that you could change the color of the mech, because that was a new feature as well. That's just copper. Okay, so it doesn't seem like we're getting those, not photon exciters, what are they called? The other things that are prerequisite. Or not prerequisite, these particle containers. It might be a case of they're somewhere here, but like injected in a very weird way. That is in the last month as well, alright. Well, would you look at that? Okay, well, I suppose oh, there it is. Just about to say the best approach is probably to try and look at these. Oh, they're not going anywhere. Wait, what? Why are they not being used for anything? Is that because... Is it literally because it's the only place that you need them? Is these logistic stations? I think it is. Apart from like later research stuff, mind you. So I think I set up this entire factory and then I realized, oh, you need like titanium and a bunch of other different things, and then I never ended up using it. Well, that simplifies the problem at least, so that's right next to us here. And then steel is being lit in here, and processors is right next to it. All right, so we can just take those out so I know what we're doing here. I guess we'll just sneakily take this across. Because the way this whole like shopping mart factory is sort of intended is also just to be functional, so it just creates one of each item, so it has this factory for every single item here, just in a long line. and then I just set the capacity fairly low to, you know, realistic levels of how many things you actually kind of need at any given moment in time. This early on anyway. So I can just go over here and pick up the things that I want and then be on my way again. Which is very useful. And of course we have the belts and the sorters around here, which are gonna be the biggest problem in terms of that freaking expensive component. Yeah, it's very nice to have. It saves so much time, and I never have to fill up my inventory with stuff. Like all the stuff in terms of resources I have is just because I've been pulling belts apart. Got like a dump chest somewhere that's literally just full of random crap that I can't be bothered making use of. Speaking of, let's actually get rid of some things. So it's like a very, like, you can afford to be lazy, I guess. Oh, I've got a lot of titanium in here. Awesome. Okay, that means I can just take this. Cool. I don't know, some people would say, like, some people say like, oh, but why don't you make use of those materials? And then I just look at my factory and say, well, the time it would take me to do it compared to my factory is like, makes it not worth doing anything by hand anymore. It's like better to just build a new factory if I really need have the demand for it. So okay, well, we do need to get that stuff out of here, but I think, yeah, we can do it here. So if we just raise this up to this point, but it's funny, like you mentioned that there's a lot of different ways that people play the game. I've got a friend of mine who was in checking out the game because he's also played it, and he was like, oh my god, you're doing something really not normal, which is like randomly distributing sort of all these foundations in order to save foundations. He's like, that's not normal. Like, it seems pretty reasonable to me. Like, you don't have to use them all up. Mitchell ended up adding all your buildings into logistic towers so you could access it on anywhere on the planet and have items delivered to other planets. That's interesting. Well, I see. You see my point. Yeah, it works and it saves a lot of space. Or foundations, aka resources, aka power, aka a lot of things, actually, if you really think about it. Surely I'm not the only one who does that. That would be kind of weird. For me at least. And it was like one of the very first things I noticed about it, that system too, is like, oh, so I can change the size of this, and then like, oh, so even just putting down one of these actually raises up a lot more terrain than just that one tile. You do. It's based off of how much, I'm pretty sure at least, it's based off of how much terrain you move around, so since you're still flattening all the ground, you're getting just as much soil as far as I can tell. I mean, there's an easy way of figuring it out. Do I get any noticeable soil when I flatten these things out that have already been flattened? Not really. Right? A little bit, because there's a few tiles here and there, but I also used a lot of tiles just doing that, right? Of course, it doesn't mean that you cannot really, like, you can't just convert it into that concrete stuff if you want to. Then you would need to obviously invest the whole thing, but in terms of just functionality, you can totally do this. There's no limitation there. And in the long run, it saves a lot of tiles. which is the main reason I'm pretty sure I even started doing it, because I was like, oh man, keep running out of freaking foundations. Wonder if you can just like save a bunch by doing it this way. And I was like, huh, well that works. Pointless material. Well, it's a nuisance for no other reason than being a nuisance, right? There is some gameplay mechanics around it because different planets have different elevation levels. I don't know for sure, but the volcanic planet that I have seems like the lava is like very far down, so I assume that uses up way more soil than if you were to fill in terrain on a water-filled planet. So in that sense, you could argue that it's more expensive to build a factory on a volcanic planet if you don't get a lot of soil in return either. But yeah, worse is to go to an ocean planet. Exactly, that's actually true. I forgot those were a thing. So it's just a resource like everything else. It's a cost involved on building them. Benefit of ocean planets is that you get a lot of oil, right? They have a lot of oil locations, which is, I believe, what I at least did on the oil planet, ocean planet in my first save. Maybe once I'm done with this save, I can take a look at it. Because I'm kind of not wanting to take a look at my old save because I'm worried I'm just going to get all the achievements for free. And that will kind of ruin the point of trying to play it now that there are achievements. Like, that's the main reason, right? So, that I returned to the game. Oh yeah, that's true. There's also some planet biome specific ores. But I can't quite remember, but something tells me that by the time that it got to that, all the advanced ores were just like a bonus. Didn't really feel necessary, if you will, in order to play the game. Like, I think I maybe expanded to a total of 3 star systems in my first playthrough because I didn't feel it necessary to do anymore, and I was in end game and doing white science at that point, so I basically lost interest in the game because didn't feel like there was anything left to do. Oh yeah, that's right. Back then you couldn't adjust the distance of the logistics stations either. They were just you had to design your supply and demand setup according to the limitations. Otherwise your ships would just get stuck in limbo for like eternity. Don't think you will. I had to click a checkbox on my save to allow achievements gathering. Huh. This will only save, however. Never tweak your logistics distances. Yeah, neither did, I mean, obviously I didn't do that on my first playthrough and it was working just fine. But I have tried on my first playthrough that I set up logistics systems to some stations before I got warp fuel, and that was a terrible mistake because that basically locked several stations worth of logistics vessels in limbo for a very, very long time, and you couldn't do anything about it. Guess this doesn't really have to go up. Can't produce titanium here unless we do some funky stuff anyway, so there's no reason to. But yeah, that was a bit of a problem, because like you couldn't recall them either, as far as I remember. I can't remember myself if I even tried to like destroy the station or whatever, but they were just like on their way to that planet, and because they were supplying a logistics stations out there and it sort of queues it up, the blue bar had filled completely, like the buffer or whatever, so they were like flying until they had delivered those goods, damn it, and I couldn't change it unless I restructured everything, maybe. It was a little bit of a weird situation. But, yeah. Eventually they did arrive at their destination. It was just funny to see all the other logistics vessels just like zip by them in no time at all. Yeah, it was dumb. I think the reason why as well is because I was using the logistics system to transport warp fuel around, so since the ships that were supposed to come with the warp fuel took so bloody long, because you know, if you want to supply all your logistics stations with that stuff, it takes a second because it's not cheap exactly. Oh, actually, no, wait, we want to do it that way. We want to do it that way. Like this. But it was an interesting experience nonetheless. But yeah, it took basically forever unfortunately the stations hadn't been automatically fueled, and then I'd set up the logistics station on like a remote planet, and they started flying without the warp fuel before that arrived, and then while they were halfway there, then the warp fuel was finally supplied, but you know, too late. Okay, so this one in there and the other one in there and there. Because at first I was like, wait, we need the previous station in order to make the second one. But then I also remembered, oh yeah, sometimes you don't want an interstellar logistics station, so let's just make both. Bunk, bunk, and bunk. Or, yeah. Oh. Whoopsies. That's Stream Raiders. Okay, that might be... How many do we have? Okay, it doesn't say yet. That was also the... Well, that was the right one. Right. I'll just hook up these because I think that's also, yeah, about as long as I'll be willing to stream today, unfortunately, because I have to get up early in the morning and I want to be able to decompress a little bit before bedtime. Or rather, I don't want to be eating dinner and then return to streaming after for like 2 hours and then jump off, and it's you know, never had that problem. Don't know if it was fixed or if you didn't come across it, like you didn't think the logistics vessels would go to anything outside of the solar system without warpers. See, that might also be a thing, but they would when I played. They just flew exceedingly slow. An update. Okay. That just gives me some time to go and fetch the titanium. Yeah, I know, Stream Raiders. Shush. Oh, that's also probably why the bot message didn't arrive. Alright. This is also only some of the way there, because we still need the vessels themselves, but that's for another stream, another day. Oh, okay. Probably knew that at some point. But thanks for the reminder. Yeah, so we're at the skin loyalty chest with 28 units. Hopefully this is going to be enough. Let's try and debuff these guys, because there's a good chunk of guys in there. Let's hope for the best. We do have 13 people in here, which is very nice to see. Ugh. We also do have free epic units. And we've got a buff. Very nice. What's the other game? This is Stream Raiders. It's like a side game. Why's that command not working? There we go. Can explain a little bit about it before the end of the stream. It's basically an auto battler, and viewers can place down units every 5 minutes, and you can achieve rewards by participating in the fights, such as character skins and scrolls to upgrade your units. So like for instance, this time around there's 200 coins, a monk scroll and a flying rogue scroll, and everyone also gets a bunch of extra coins here that I can adjust with this slider. I'm just feeling generous or whatever, so you know, I could take 40 more for myself, but shh, quiet. Anyways, so boy, you get 200 coins, Sikun Naga gets a monk scroll, and Shibustu gets a flying rogue scroll. You can play it in the browser or as like a standalone thing. And these rewards, when I distribute them randomly, the game prioritizes people that are active in chat from what I've been able to tell.
We got your favorite thing, disappointment.
It's Toto. Hello, Toto. Well, unfortunately, this is also the end of the stream for today. Toto, I will be on Minecraft after I've eaten dinner, though, so we can hang out there if you want to. But yeah, check it out, Bolt, if it's your kind of thing. It's just like a side game, so every 30 minutes, we get to sort of start a new map and stuff, and there's seasonal content and all kinds of stuff, so check it out if you want. You can play along with multiple streamers too, and I know there's a lot of people that in the RimWorld community at least, they do Stream Raiders as well. So anyway, I think this is a good place to start. Did I not? I did not hook this up. Maybe that will work. Well, at least we have the stations for next time, so that means the next thing we'll be making are thrusters, reinforced thrusters, logistics drones, and logistics vessels, which is all going to be made around here as well, I would say. Because I think all of this is just like, yeah, all of this is all of these are components that are pretty much here already. Anyways, let's pop down a save. And then find someone to raid, unless anyone in chat has like a suggestion who we should say hi to. Also, hint hint, this is an excellent time to click that follow if you want to see more. Well, Toto, I'll see you in Minecraft, right? Hopefully. I don't think we have any I can try and roll the credits, but I don't think there was any follows this time, maybe? Let's see. No. It's just the Streamlabs and the Restream bot. Alright, let's try and find someone to raid. But regardless, thanks for dropping by, everyone. It's cool to see some familiar faces again. Toto, Boy, and Andre. Let me try and remember if I remember everyone. And you too, Bolt, and everyone else who's come by through the Dyson Sphere stuff. It's also really cool to get some of you in here. Because I've play a little bit of different games, but factory games, survival games, those are like kind of my kind of gig. Slower paced game strategy, that kind of stuff. Okay, let's see. Anyone interesting? Tyrdal is playing RimWorld. Could say hi to Tyr. Tommy Satellite's doing Kerbal Space Program, but we rated him the other day, so maybe we should just do Tyrdal today. Unless anyone's got any other suggestion. But regardless, thanks for this time, and I will see you all hopefully next stream. I don't know if that's going to be tomorrow or whatever, but I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.